We all know that U.S. citizens could vote. We all know that U.S. citizens have the protection of not getting deported. And we all know that certain positions require U.S. citizenship. This is something that's common knowledge. But this video is going to be talking about the top 5 lesser known reasons why a legal permanent resident should become a U.S. citizen. Starting with number 5 is the ability to spend as much as time as you want overseas. If you are a legal permanent resident, and if you spend generally more than a year after if you spend more than a year overseas, there is a presumption that you have abandoned your legal permanent residence. That presumption is not applicable for a U.S. citizen. So if you have U.S. citizenship, if you want to spend the rest of your life in XYZ country, go ahead. There is no presumption that you have abandoned your citizenship. That doesn't make any sense. That's not applicable. Now, when you come back, let's say 20 years later, and if you have a valid U.S. passport that you can get in the U.S. Embassy, that's perfectly fine. With a green card holder, if they spend more than a year overseas, well, that is going to be a problem unless they have a re-entry permit. If they come back, they could potentially be held up at the airport and placed into immigration court proceedings. The 4th reason why a legal permanent resident should get U.S. citizenship is the requirement that a green card holder has to report an address change within 10 days of moving. Now, that requirement is not there for U.S. citizens. If you move and you're a U.S. citizen, Homeland Security doesn't need to know. Now, on the other hand, if you are a green card holder, well, unfortunately, if you move, you are required to report a address change within 10 days. Or, believe it or not, you can actually face, you could be subject to deportation. Now that sounds quite shocking for a lot of people because there are green card holders who didn't actually report to the USCIS their address change. Now, the rule stems from the Immigration Nationality Act, Section 266B, which says that a willful act of not reporting your address change, if you willfully just don't report your address change, that's when you can get in trouble. There are people that just didn't report the address change because they just didn't know. Well, that's a little different. But if you willfully refuse to report an address change, under the Immigration Nationality Act, you could actually face deportation proceedings. The 3rd lesser known reason why it is so beneficial for a legal permanent resident to become a U.S. citizen is the immigration benefits out there. Now, the U.S. citizen has the ability to petition for a fiancé. A green card holder doesn't. A U.S. citizen has the ability to impart derivative citizenship to his or her children. Obviously, you can't do that with a green card holder because they're not a U.S. citizen. That is something that is very beneficial. In addition, a green card holder who petitions for his or her wife or husband, well, unfortunately, that petition might take quite some time, 2-3 years before the interview is scheduled. On the other hand, if a U.S. citizen petitions for a spouse or a unmarried minor child, well, that is, again, very quick. You're talking about a year for an overseas interview. That's not the same case with a green card holder. It might take 2 to 3 years. So a 3rd very important reason, lesser known reason, is the difference in terms of immigration benefits. The 2nd lesser known reason why a green card holder should definitely become and consider U.S. citizenship is the tax laws, the estate taxes and the gift taxes that are the benefit of which is not available to a green card holder is available to a U.S. citizen. In the event of a spouse dying, if the other spouse is a U.S. citizen, there generally isn't that benefit of tax laws. If the spouse was a green card holder. On the other hand, if the spouse was a U.S. citizen, well, they get that benefit of the tax laws. And finally, and probably the most important, is the number one reason and lesser known reason for a green card holder to become a U.S. citizen is the Immigration Nationality Act requirement under Immigration Nationality Act Section 264E, which requires a green card holder to carry their green card with them at all times. That is a massive headache. U.S. citizen, there's no such requirement. If you're a green card holder, technically, you are supposed to carry your green card with you at all times, even when you're outside. The INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, is clear on this. So, believe it or not, if the person doesn't actually carry their green card with them at all times, well, they could actually be fined and imprisoned according to the law. Now, that is not something that regularly is enforced, but it is something that is out there in the Immigration Nationality Act. I hope you liked this video. Smash that like button or subscribe. And this is Immigration Lawyer Kai Siddiqui, and thank you for watching.